Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time to catch up on the other half of the spoilers today now that I'm awake. And then, of course, the next video will be today's spoilers. So let's start with Letter of Acceptance. Please tell me there's a Letter of Denial also. It just says the game ends. That's it. You don't get to play Strixhaven. Well, in the meantime, this one says you tap it and add 1 mana of any color, which is pretty typical for 3. And then if you pay 2, you can tap it and sack it and draw a card. So just a nice average utility ramp. I don't like ramps that go past 2. That's showing up a bit late, but they are very nice in drafts and in sealed, which remember, like 1/3 to half the cards in any given standard set are for limited formats. Next up, Team Pennant. That's right, we're getting into all that Quidditch scene or whatever with this section of the spoilers. It's a 1-cost equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance and trample. Okay. And then equip creature token 1, but then if you equip it to a real creature, so not a token, it costs 3. I mean, tokens tend to be smaller, but with all the cloning in this set, this might actually turn out to be pretty good. Well, at least they didn't give every single color in the pie lifelink again with another colorless equipment, so... I mean, a 1-drop equip for 1, definitely worth it for what you get, obviously. I mean, there are vanilla 1/1/1/1 equipments out there. Short sword, obviously. But this one... would it be worth 3 to equip? In theory, you put it on something big enough, you'll just win the game with it. But I don't know. That's pretty narrow. I don't know. I'd still draft it. Next up, Square Up. It's a 2-cost hybrid instant. Target creature has base power and toughness 4/4 till end of turn. These spells are just getting weird, dude, with the math and the geometry and all that. I don't even know what to think of these. Next up, Serpentine Curve. It's 4-cost sorcery. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X/1/1 counters on it, where X is 1 plus the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. So the later the game is, the bigger this is, but you can't get it off on too early of a turn and just absolutely stomp somebody. That's how you create a proper card right there. And then they put the absolute cringe flavor text on it. Wow. Next up, we've got Expel. Ooh, you're in trouble now. 3-cost instant. Exile target tapped creature. Can't get much simpler than that. Usually this effect costs 2 if it requires them to be tapped, but, whatever, still good card. Hate to sound like a broken record, but an overcosted removal that has a condition on it that's in the common spot, that's for drafts. Next up, Biomathematician. Because that's a thing. It's a 3-cost 2/2 human wizard, and when it enters battlefield, create a 0/0 fractal. Yeah, we get it. Put a 1/1 counter on it for each fractal you control. It obviously counts itself, even though the timing on that seems illogical. That's how the rule works. Not really worth 3 mana in my opinion, but, whatever. Next up, Quandrix Cultivator. It's another one of those weird costed, we'll just say 4 CMC or mana value or whatever the hell they're doing now. Turtle Druids, 3/4, cool. And when it enters battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest or island card, put it in the battlefield, then shuffle. More land fetch in the absolute king of land fetch colors. This is just going to be a get to Ugin and win deck, like I said. Absolute garbage. Nothing really wrong with this card, it's just there's too many of them and they're going to get way too high of mana availability way too fast. Next up, Crackle with Power. Here it is. We heard about this one. It's a XXX spell, and people were saying this is either going to be really, really broken or really, really gimmicky and not likely to actually work. But we'll see. It is 2 red plus 3x, so you're only going to get this off for, unless X can be 0 and you can get away with it, 5 mana. So it's a mythic. Crackle with Power deals 5 times X damage to each of up to X targets. Oh, I like that second part. That keeps it fair. So to really, really unleash hell, you'd have to go bare minimum X equals 2, which means you're looking at 2 plus 2/2/2. So 8 mana will light it up. Now remember, this is in one of the colleges that's really good at getting off some high-level spells here. They got ramp, they've got instant and sorcery reduction, they got free casting, which in this case wouldn't do anything. So that would be 10 damage to up to 2 targets. Oh, each. You don't have to split it. It's not divided. It's that much damage to each of up to X targets. Now, what I don't like is that for 5 mana, you can deal 5 damage to their face. They were moving away from direct to the face spells, but like I said, the big thing with spell spamming, especially like Magecraft, is like recurring it for free, which would do nothing in this case. Now, if you cloned it on the stack, it would maintain its value of X. I'm 99% sure that's the rule. So if you cloned it, you could deal, 5 then 5 to their face with a simple little, clone the next spell you cast thing, and that's half your life total, so I mean, that could be lethal. I don't love that, so I think there's some messed up stuff you could do with this. It's going to come down to, is there enough messed up stuff you could do with this in standard? And we all know that if you're playing, ramp colors, which don't tend to include red, especially in this set, you could get this up to like 18 mana and just blast everybody. Hell, you run this in Commander, you could probably take out multiple players in the right deck, of course. So I don't know. I don't really like this. It's not terrifically broken, but I don't like it. Next up, it's Entscheiden Abelnung. My German ancestors are rolling over their graves and they can just keep on spinning for all I care because they didn't do shit about Hitler. I mean, they came to America on a boat in like 1880. I don't know what they would have done, but still, I'm going to blame them anyway. Wait, I think some of them actually fought in World War II, like after they came to America. Anyway, this apparently translates to something resembling decisive rejection, which they made 2 separate words for some reason. That's new for them. It's a instant, choose one target creature you control, fights target creature you don't control, or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. Oh, that's what we need. Another 2-cost force fight in green that also doubles as a counterspell. That's fantastic. That's exactly what the game needed. How did they know? Next up, Secret Rendezvous. Jeez, that song sucked in Dance Dance Revolution. Anyway, it's a 3-cost double white sorcery. Hello. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. I've said it before and I'll say it again. In general, when your spell or effect or ability or whatever benefits an opponent as much as it benefits you, you better be damn sure that you've got the faster, better, stronger deck. But then, more granularly, okay, the specific effect, does it help you more than them? Like, do you have more removal? Do you have, more boost? Do you have a faster deck? Do you have more control than them? Better creatures? I mean, but then it's just like rock, paper, scissors. Like, are you giving them more control and then yourself more creatures, but then you normally win, but you just gave them more control, so not really. I wouldn't risk it. I don't like this. Now, if there's something about every time you draw a card, blah, 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 trigger goes off, okay, now you're being benefited more than they are. You give me 3 cards in any one of my modern decks, I will kick your ass about 3 turns sooner. So I don't think this is very smart. Next up, we got Devastating Mastery. Okay, can we have whoever did this art go back and draw literally anything for the card Faithless Looting? Just anything instead of what we got. By the way, I looked up the artist's tweet about it where they're like, oh, look at this art I drew and it's on a card. And everybody was super supportive. Like, that looks so cool. That's so great. Well, the other 99% of society, aka 100% of Magic players, were like, this is literally the worst, dumbest, craziest, creepiest, out of place, whack-ass 5-year-old drawn piece of garbage artwork in the history of the game. Like, there are literally 20 to 30,000 pieces of artwork in the game. This is the dead-ass last worst. Boy, you wonder why they call Twitter an echo chamber. You are not going to get accurate information ever from that website. It's not possible. People will kiss your ass just because they got attention from somebody vaguely famous, and that's just pathetic. Anyway, mini rant over. This is a 4 white mana plus 2 generic sorcery. Hello. So you can get that from 6 down to just 4 with only 2 of them being white mana. But if you do, an opponent chooses up to 2 non-land permanents they control and returns them to their owner's hand. You might think, well, how's that a downside? Because destroy all non-land permanents. I mean, it's about time we got a super board wipe, okay? I am sick of losing to shrines, and then I top deck something that only blows up creatures. Great, thanks. When I wipe the board, I want that thing empty. I don't want anything left sitting on the battlefield. That better be the cleanest board. Like, you took the battlefield, aka the board, and just threw it in the air, and everything flew off into space. Finally, we have it for 6. So you can give them 2 things back, that's fine. The problem is they choose it and they can read the rest of the spell. They know exactly what's going to happen. You don't just blindly tell them, hey, choose 2 permanents. But they're still going to have to get them back into play. But I mean, you're automatically giving them a card advantage of 2 when wiping the board. So you damn well better be blowing up a lot of permanents. And sometimes it comes down to that. The last emergency one we had was, I believe it was 5 to cast it, but then you could foretell it for 2 and then cast it for 3 from foretell. Let me just say, if you're in trouble, 3 mana is a lot less than 4 mana. So I don't think this is an amazing card. But I am happy they didn't put lesson on it because, boy, would that be a treat. So I don't know. I mean, I'd play it. This in a draft would just be the end of the world. So I could see why they made it rare. And I keep referencing draft because you have to be out of your damn mind to play Constructed after this piece of shit drops. Not the card, the set. So moving on, we got something in some language. Let me find it. Where the hell is this? All right, Malevolent Band. I was going to say that does look like an album cover. So it's a 4-cost human warlock with Death Touch. And Malevolent Band enters battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, put its 1/1 counters. I guess that's how they phrase it in that language. Wish they do that in English. Put those counters on target creature you control. A Death Toucher with a benefit. That's cool. The problem is you don't pay 4 for Death Touchers. You pay 1 for them. So this fails miserably. Next up, Silver Quill Silencer. It's a 3/2 for 2, which is very nice. Human Cleric. Hey, now we're talking. This might go in something. And as it enters the battlefield, choose a non-land card name. Oh, here we go. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with the chosen name, that player loses 3 life and you draw a card. Ooh, so you're not jamming it, but you're putting a hell of a penalty on this. I love this. I like Meddling Mage more, but I love this. I assume that the flavor text down the bottom says, yes, I know what stupid net deck you're running, and I'm naming something on my turn 2 and your turn 1, and you and I both know I'm correct. I love this card. Next up, oh, you can't have 2 accents in one word. Must not be Spanish, probably not Portuguese. Yep, it's French. So, Esoteric Subtraction. 2-cost blue instant, target creature gains -4. That's not really gains, I don't know if that's the right term, but okay. Gets, and then learn. Looks like more filler to me. That effect has never been very popular. Next up, we've got Frog Mystic. I love his outfit. So it's a 2-cost frog wizard with flash. And of course they spoiled it to a French person because it's a frog. Apparently it's a delicacy over there. So when Frog Mystic enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gains -1, -0 till end of turn. Well, we already have a rogue that does this and does it better, so no thanks. Next up, Unstable Transformation. It's 2-cost sorcery lesson. Here we go. Until end of turn, target non-land permanent loses all abilities and becomes your choice of a frog creature with base power toughness 1/1 or an octopus creature with base power and toughness 4/4. But at sorcery speed, so you aren't fooling anybody. I mean, I'd like to say I kind of like this. I like that it's another lesson that's weak as hell and unplayable because the less good lessons we have, the better the game is. But still, yeah, this could be pretty good. It's just you're not going to fool them into blocking with it. I think that's the point. Next up, Talent Exam, which cannot be what that says in English. There is no phrase that would say Talent Exam anyway. It's a 2-cost blue instant, counter target instant or sorcery spell, search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any cards with the same name as the countered card and exile them. That player draws a card for each card removed from their hand this way. Well, it has to be an instant or sorcery, but I mean, you are like removing that spell from existence. The problem is looking through the opponent's like entire library in hand. That's too much time and too much information. That's just utterly ridiculous. You sit there and you like take notes and stuff. It's just a complete waste of time. They need to stop doing this crap where you can just sit there and like, oh, stop the game while I count things. So disruptive, so annoying. So should you automatically put this in, in the place of negate? Absolutely not. Artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers. Also very important. In fact, more important than instants and sorceries, typically. So it's like, cool, they don't get access to that spell for the rest of the game because they're all exiled. Definitely fun if this is a counter spell. But having a blind spot of everything else that actually stays around for a while instead of a one-and-done spell, well, I just generally all around do not like this spell. So next up, Dream Strix. It's a 3-cost bird illusion. Flying, when it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it, and when it dies, learn. Alright, so you go get something to replace it, and it was hitting for 3 mana in the air the whole time, so, not bad. Next up, we got Access Tunnel. It's a land that comes in untapped. You can tap it immediately for colorless. And if you pay 3 and tap it, target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. Good. I'm sick of them doing this with like 12/12s. But yeah, unblockable is annoying. They shouldn't have printed this. Real simple. Next up, Inkling Summoning. Oh good, it's another lesson. 3 costs, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. So another terribly exciting lesson. No problem with that. Next up, Closing Statement. It's a 5-cost instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast during your end step. Okay. Destroy target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature you do control. That's pretty powerful. So I guess as long as you hang on to your end step, this only costs 3. Okay. That's like a 2 mana penalty for casting it off your turn, sort of. I mean, more than just that, but that's interesting, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if you burn your mana on your turn, then you don't have it during their turn. But if you do it during their turn, you better have 5. That's actually a neat little balancing act. We haven't really seen stuff like that very often. Next up, Dramatic Finale. So it's a 4-cost enchantment. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1. You guys know how I feel about Lord's cards. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control die, create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Now it's one or more, create one, not create one per one that died. So this is not let's go on top of a board wipe card. Those were already printed in standard like a set or two back, actually. So, I don't know, not that great, but I mean, if you're going to do an Inkling deck, run it, but who would? That deck looks like trash. I could be wrong, they're flying and it's in control life gain colors, but if you think that's going to stand up to Clerics or Rogues, you're out of your damn mind. Next up, Necromantic Fumes, another lesson. 3 cost, has additional cost to cast a spell, exile a creature you control, and then exile target creature or planeswalker. So we now have 2 different creature planeswalker killers as lessons in black. So you could just, I did a learn ability, go get another removal. Oh, I did another learn ability, go get another removal. Yeah, that's starting to get a little tired. Little bit too consistent there, in my opinion. Next up, Basic Conjuration. Oh boy, another lesson. Great, this one's a rare. Fantastic. So 3 total, 2 green, yay. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gain 3 life. Well, you don't get it for free, so I don't care. Next up, we got Fracturar. Real simple, pay 2. This is like the 5th different, like, eternal format tier black-white removal we've had just in this set. This is getting weird. Destroy an artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Well, here's a $3 uncommon. That's insane. I do wonder why they're showing the promo pack one. I hope this is actually in the set. Next up, Umbral Juke. It's a 3-cost instant. Choose 1. Target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, because we need another one of those. And create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. I'll give you a hint which one of those is more useful. It's the top one. Next up, Double Major. A lot of twins at this place, unless it's the same twins as last time. I don't know. 2-cost instant. Copy target creature spell you control, except it isn't legendary if it is legendary. So you have to clone it while it's on the stack, but it's only 2 mana. Utterly and completely overpowered and ridiculous in a college and color orientation that already has way too much mana. Now when you summon your big, 5, 6, 7, 8 cost, boom, you get 2 of it. I mean, just stupid. Next up, Charge Through. We've got 1 cost green instant here. Target creature gains trample till end of turn, and then draw a card whether you deal combat damage or not. Well, there you go. Next up, Owlin Shield Mage. It's a 5-cost 3/3 with flying, and it has Ward, pay 3 life. So to make a spell or ability land on this, your opponent has to pay 3 life in addition to the casting cost of the spell or ability. Interesting. Too bad it's a 3/3 flyer for 5. Next up, Show of Confidence. It's a 2-cost instant. In white, whenever you cast a spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. Oh, good storm! You may choose new targets for the copies. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It gains vigilance until end of turn. Yeah, I mean, not great for Storm. I mean, this would be like kind of okay early game, but you don't have enough mana to make this work early game. So, it says cast this turn, which I thought in this context means resolved. Because cast usually means attempt to cast, but I think that this would work with cloned spells. I think it refers to resolved ones. Like within the wording and the rules, not usually, but I think when they say it precisely this way retroactively, it also includes things that you didn't, quote, cast, but did resolve. I could be wrong. I'm like 51% sure on that one, so don't take my word for it. But I mean, like, where are you going to get like 4 spells to make this go off 5 times? It doesn't make sense. You might get 2 out of it, oh boy. But yeah, if you got this plus a 1-cost boost going and then you get to keep the counters, yeah, I mean, that's not bad. So I don't think this is meant to go off like that many times. I don't think it's a true Storm card. And that is it. So now I get to move on to today's spoilers, which are like 600 more cards. Fantastic. Well, I'll see you guys shortly.